Hello everybody, I'll give it a few minutes to let people log on. Finished work here, put in a half shift, got things to do today. I want to get talking about exactly what is going on, why the government is 100% liable. All of you can look this up yourself. Verifiable, factual, 100% real. This out of the way. So we get into the Residential School Act, part of the Indian Act, 1872 all the way up to 1920. Several amendments by many governments coming and going as they always update acts. Did you know it was illegal for First Nations, Canadian Indians under the act to hire lawyers? It was illegal for them to restrict the government from taking their children. Illegal. You can all read this yourself in absolute history and legal law right here in Canada by none other than your elected MPs, your elected prime ministers of the time, over and over and over again. Education in our Constitution, division of power of the province, administered absolutely by every premier, every single one, every minister under premier. Since the inception of Canada, lieutenant governors across all provinces, all territories, all tied 100% to Governor General, right up to Prime Minister. That's absolute. There was a time UK overlapped. That ended absolutely in 1952. Liability for the Canadian government under ICC is absolute. Absolute. There's no getting out of this. The government's liable for all those children's lives. They passed the acts, members of parliament enforced it. People got rich in their personal lives with the autocratic power of government. They enriched themselves and committed genocide. Absolutely, Canadian government 100% liable. Did the Canadian people at any time elect the Catholic Church? Did the Canadian people at any time ask for the Catholic Church to administer schools and education? Or any of the other religious groups? We can go into Anglican, there will be bodies found there too. The reality is, at the end of the day, who was in charge? Who was commander-in-chief? That is absolutely all prime ministers, every single one that administered those acts, administered amendments to those acts, all acts attached. ICC will go through it. All politicians in our autocratic Canadian constitutional monarchy with colonial powers never ever let go. 100% in the hands of the politicians. Not you, the people. You're not even in your constitution. Neither are the First Peoples of Canada. Again, it was ruled illegal. The entirety. The First Nations could even lawyer up. It was illegal for them to restrict the taking of their children who were to be murdered in genocide. I'm going to tell Canadians something else. You think the ICC hasn't heard this bullshit from politicians many times, blaming radicalism, religion? Did you all know Hitler and those Germans responsible for the genocide against the Jews? They killed Jesus. They did this. It was the church. It was their fault. It was their fault. The Germans did what they did. Those government officials, those leaders did what they did. They chose to do that. They empowered the people to do that. They were found liable. Their lives were forfeit. They were executed. You can look at the Nuremberg. That's what ICC is, ladies and gentlemen. And if you don't believe me, look at Africa. ICC since 1993, the new name. That's the court. Look who's been executed. Look what the P5 has done. They've executed many people in this world, mostly from Africa, on similar genocides. Canadian politicians don't get away. Their wealth will be stripped, as were all those African dictators, all those Middle East dictators. If not executed, they will be absolutely imprisoned. They will have all of their wealth taken and dispersed amongst the victims. That's what the ICC does. Created in 1993. Before that, it was absolutely the P5 system. This is the top court in the world. This is where it's going. Canadian politicians across all aisles over all these time periods are 100% liable. And when the wealth is chased to the families who hold the wealth in the time of proceeds in the administration of power from those genocidal years, will be held accountable as long as it takes. Nuremberg went, it still goes on today in relation to Germany. Still, almost 80 years later, it's still going on. This will go on too. On and on. Conservative, liberals, front and center on this. Absolutely. But there are other parties on the provincial and territorial level. They will be sniffed out. This is only the beginning, everybody. It will be decades and decades. Secrets will emerge, and there'll be a fresh round of prosecutions. This will never end. Constitutional dismemberment redesign is coming. As I said, even if it isn't me, I promise you, this is going to happen in Canada. The day of the Liberal, Conservative, NDP bloc, the rest of the autocrats attached to the colonial crown powers is over. It's coming to an end. It's going to break down. And all those civil societies attached who participated in these events are going to be sniffed out. They're going to be found liable financially and criminally. It's already started. Too many have leaked out too much. There's too much evidence now. It can't be ignored. Vladimir Putin will vote unanimously. Xi Jinping, President of China, will vote unanimously. Joe Biden, Democrats, will vote unanimously. Boris Johnson, UK, will vote unanimously. The only one left to really ascertain the truth here is France. And I can tell you on France's history alone, they're likely to vote unanimously. 5 for 5. Right now, today, Canadian politicians are going to be found liable. What I said about Justin Trudeau's family, going back to Pierre Elliott Trudeau, he's in there like a dirty shirt. And when they start looking for all these 6,000 missing children of those periods, it's going to overlap Pierre Elliott Trudeau's time, his 16-year reign during the greatest genocide Canada's ever seen against children. When they start looking at the Indian Act, when they start looking at the Residential Schools Act, you're going to get politicians' names on it. They're going to show which MPs voted for it in majority across all aisles. Who is responsible? The Catholic Church won't have voted for any of that. The Canadian politicians did. That's who's liable here. The Church is guilty. Of course they are. But that was stripped in this world since 1945. The P5 take it very serious. Germany never got a leg to stand on using Jesus. All they wanted. They had no leg to stand on. Look at the African nations. They had no leg to stand on. Genocide is genocide since 1945. This is the world of the UN. Wake up, Canadians. And politicians in Canada, your days are numbered. Your system is going to be over. It's just the beginning, just the beginning. Share, everybody. Get it out there because it's real, it's credible, and it's verifiable. Thank you. Bye now.